Hi and welcome to the Unquendor Guitars workshop. My name is Daniel and this is the 10k subscriber special. Recently I reached 10,000 subscribers here on the Unquendor Guitars YouTube channel, and I asked you guys what you like to see for a 10k sub special, and a lot of you guys wanted me to do a little tour of the workshop, show you some of my favorite tools and talk a bit about the history of Unquendor Guitars. So without further ado, let me show you around. But before I'm going to start the tour, I really want to thank you all once again for subscribing to my channel to help me create some brand awareness for Unquendor Guitars, and to join me in the videos I put up on this channel. So once again, for each and everyone who subscribed to my channel, if you're here from the very early days or you're a recent subscriber, I really want to thank you just as much. So thank you very much, and now let's start the tour. And to do so, I'm going to start by taking out my phone, launching the camera, and show you for maybe the first time on this channel what's behind the camera, so what it looks like from my perspective. So let's go to video mode, like so, and start filming. And as you can see, there you are, right there up against the rack of stuff. Let's zoom out a little. And this is a reason why I don't show this corner of my workshop that often in my videos, because it's a bit of a mess. And although I'm an advocate of keeping a clean and workshop, every shop has a corner that's less tidy as you would like to. So in this corner there's my dust extraction system going up in a pipe all the way through the shop, a storage rack for offcuts of wood, some tools, and I really want to change this cabinet one day, and of course one corner with miscellaneous stuff, some garden cushions, trash bag, and I didn't really clean this up. This is how it is always, so no video editing, no cleaning up beforehand. This is what it looks like behind the camera. Of course some studio lighting on each side, and there's the rest of the shop I'm going to show you right now. So this is my full shop. You're still up against the rack I just showed you, and a lot of people wonder how big my workshop is. Well, I'm just over 1 meter and 80 centimeters, and you can see without any effort I can touch both sides of my workshop. It's just 2 meters wide, the entire shop. In the length it's twice as long as it is wide, so it's 4 meters from wall to wall. And there's of course the rack right here behind you guys. And in just 2 or 3 paces I'm all the way at the other side. So my workshop is 2 meters wide approximately, and approximately 4 meters long. So it's about 8 square meters big. So let's start the tour by going clockwise through the workshop, and the first tool we come across is of course my little bandsaw, just a fairly cheap bandsaw from a Dutch tool store manufacturer. It's a store that has its own branded tools, most likely made in China, and this is a small cheap bandsaw, but it's big enough and good enough for most of the work I need to do for my guitars. Although I'm looking to get a slightly bigger one, I'm looking at the Laguna 1512, I believe that is, so I can also resaw my own timber for the tops and such, and that's something I can't do on this bandsaw. But other than that, this one is good enough for me for the moment. And right above my bandsaw is my filtration system, my air filtration unit from Record Power, not sponsored by the way. And I often get comments on my videos that I'm not wearing a mask or not having dust extraction or filtration running while I'm sanding or routing, and I have to assure you, off camera I do wear a mask if needed, and I have a filtration system and my dust extraction and my shop vacuum running as often as possible. But when I'm making videos it's often impractical to wear a mask because I have to talk often. I have to put it on, take it off, and sometimes I forget to put it on again. And of course, having running all the extraction and filtration systems in this little workshop makes too much noise when filming. So yeah, it's a whole different world. When I'm filming, and sometimes safety features, although they're very important, sometimes get impractical when making YouTube videos. So yeah, be assured, and thank you very much for being concerned about my safety and my well-being. But yeah, sometimes making videos gets in the way of certain precautions like dust extraction, filtration, and wearing a mask. Next to the bandsaw is my spindle sander, just a regular Triton spindle sander. I think most of you will know what this is. Of course, my trusty Bosch PBD 40 pillar drill, and I made a video on this pillar drill. I will leave a link, I think, in the comment section down below, or just browse my channel to find the video, a special video about this Bosch pillar drill. A perfect drill, I think, for guitar building. Of course, right above my pillar drill is my selection of drill bits. I like to keep it nice and close to the pillar drill, so I can quickly change the drill bits for the pillar drill to the size I need, so to say. And in the corner here I've got just some storage for various bits, drill bits, some stock for new drill bits, and such, some long drill bits, just regular storage. Of course, my cordless drills, charging stations, spare batteries and such, just a small little station. And underneath this station there's a belt sander and a disc sander I rarely use. This is one of the first machines or tools I bought for this workshop, and it gets barely used. And of course I've got all my hand tools laid out on a French cleat system right behind me, and of course my Iwasaki carving files. And anyone familiar with my channel knows I really love these files. Of course, Shinto, rasp, several files, hammers, how do you call these, squares, brushes, and dusting brushes, very important to have these in your workshop. Scrapers, variety of palette knives, pens, small little brushes and such, just a variety of tools I often use just so I can grab them right here. Some pliers, fretting tools and such. And one thing I'm particularly proud of is my collection of Narex chisels, all the way from 6mm all the way up to this big one, hefty 50mm wide chisel. Yeah, I really love my chisels. Although I don't use them often, I do love them. And of course a small collection of hand planes, small little low angle block planes. Number 7 plane is one I can recommend when you're building guitars. Yeah, get yourself a nice number 7, a number 4 and a low angle block plane, and that's all the planes you'll ever need. Yeah, this is a somewhat dynamic and ever-changing part of the workshop. I always am rearranging the tools as I see fit for that moment. Sometimes you think it might be handy to have a tool right here because it's often used, and the tool gets used less and less, and then it moves more to one side, and another tool gets used more and more, and it will move more to the convenience side, so to say. So next over there's a little cabinet I like to call my chemicals cabinet, and this is where I keep all the fluids and all the chemicals needed or used in guitar building, like several types of glue, of course a whole collection of guitar stains, oils, waxes, yeah, you name it, are stored in this cabinet. And the nice thing about this cabinet is that it's heated in winter, and there's a small little heater element right here with a thermostat right behind it, and in winter this will make sure that the contents of this cabinet is always kept above freezing point, so above 5 degrees Celsius. So yeah, I highly recommend when you're keeping your glues and your finishes inside your shed, inside your workshop, make sure during the winter that it's kept above freezing. Otherwise, yeah, you might have a chance your glue's getting bad or not working properly anymore, and your stains freezing, and that's something you really want to prevent. So I highly recommend or making a heated cabinet like this, or make sure your shed never goes below, or the temperature in your shed never goes below freezing. Or take everything inside your house if possible to prevent it from freezing. Underneath this cabinet there's a selection of sandpaper. This is all wet and dry sandpaper, so the higher grits sandpaper that aren't available on a roll. And some general purpose sandpapers, some cheap stuff for regular jobs, and yeah, leftovers I had laying around before switching completely to having all my sandpapers on a roll. So when I say we're going to do a tour, we're going to do a full tour. So I'm also going to show you what's underneath the nice and clean benches. And yeah, let's start right here. This is just a shelf where I keep not often used power tools like my jigsaw, heat gun and such. Some sanders are down here. Just a shelf with some power tools. Of course, a cabinet where my previous collection of hand tools are laid to rest. A whole drawer full of all screwdrivers that might come in handy as can openers and such. These are just old tools that I don't use on my guitars. But for example, my screwdriver sets I use on guitars aren't used in common projects, so to say, or DIY projects in and around the house. I've got a dedicated set of screwdrivers for those jobs, so I keep everything separated. Yeah, some pliers and stuff, just a miscellaneous drawer. Yeah, drawers are really a place where you put tools you don't often use. Yeah, this is just a section of general storage. There are some assortment boxes with screws and bolts and knickknacks and such. Just a variety of assortment boxes. Right up here, a box for my Dremel and miscellaneous stuff. And some other boxes, for example, this is a box full of masking tapes and such. Just yeah, a sticky box, so to say, and a box full of special screws, or yeah, screws I often use when making jigs and such. So this is my box for screws to be used in and around the workshop. Yeah, another box full of sanding stuff, sanding pads, sanding blocks. This is a gritty box, so I have a sticky box and a gritty box. So there are all kinds of tool sets right here. There's one for my soldering irons, a soldering station that's in an enclosed box so it doesn't get dusty. My leatherworking set, some miscellaneous tools. So there are 3 various tool sets. And here's a box for racks and such. Some miscellaneous stuff right there. And down here there's a saw, track saw, no, can't recall what it's called in English. Miter saw perhaps. And of course my shop vac is right here. And underneath my bench, oh, I haven't cleaned it, you can see it, there's some drawings right here. Are a lot of jigs and templates and such. This is a bit messy at the moment. And of course a drawer with some miscellaneous stuff. This is just a drawer, and this stuff should be right here. And of course my workbench, and this is just a regular standard workbench you can buy almost anywhere, any tool store that sells workbenches, has a model very similar to this one, or maybe even the same. But as you can see, I'm quite tall and this workbench is a bit low for me, to be honest. And I intend to raise this workbench ever so slightly, so it's more convenient for me. But I really like having a window at my bench, and I only have a few centimeters I can raise this workbench, so that's one of the jobs that's been put off almost for a year now. So yeah, I do intend to raise this bench one day so it's more suitable for my length. Right above my bench is a rack where I keep my pencils, markers, calipers, scissors, so tools you always need when making anything. Right here, right above the bench, so when I'm working I can just grab a pencil, make my marks and such. Of course, there's also a variety of rulers, circle drawing rulers, a variety of metal rulers for guitar building, French curved rulers, and I made a video on these recently, or a video where I use these and explain a bit about them. And right here is my saw till with various fret saws, Japanese saws, jeweler saws and such, just right here where I need them at the bench. And now it gets apparent how small this workshop is, because this is the only angle I can give you to show you the final tool in my workshop, or one of my most often used tools, and one of the tools I can't build guitars without. This is my go-to tool in the shop. And to answer some questions, which tool is your favorite tool? It's this one. It's my router table. And besides a router table, it also has some storage. For example, all my templates are in this cabinet. So for all the guitar bodies, cavity templates, humbucker routing templates, it's all right here ready to use. Also my secondary handheld router is here. So this is storage. Of course, here is a Triton router upside down in the router table. And of course several drawers with copy rings, router bits, whole selection of router bits. And yeah, I use mostly CMT router bits. And of course a router bit I got from one of my subscribers. It was sent to me by one of you guys. It's an Infinity Tools Mega Flush Trim bit, and I'm still real pleased having this router bit in my collection. And of course on the other side there are some various tools for the routers, height adjustment tools and such. And here are some more templates and spare headstock veneers and such. Bit of a miscellaneous drawer. That's the downside of drawers, they tend to collect stuff. Of course, besides storage, the router table also functions. Of course, it has its own extension cord and on and off switch right here at the side, and this is also acts also as an emergency switch to some extent. And of course you can access the router via this little door right here, or lift up the entire working surface and you can access the router like this. If you want to know how I made this router table, there's an entire playlist, entire series on how I made this router table on my channel, and I will put a link down below or right somewhere around here, I think, so you can watch it if you want to build a similar router table yourself. Yeah, and this router table really is one of my favorite tools. As you can see, it's on casters, so I can ride it around the workshop. I can put it aside if I don't need it. I can pull it right up to do my intros and my outros on videos and use it as a secondary bench as well. And what makes this router table so versatile is these T-tracks that are installed in the working surface of the router table, and This allows me to install all kinds of accessories, like for example this fence, and of course these fully adjustable rails, a little jig, and in combination with my handheld router I can turn my router table into a fully adjustable router sled. Yeah, very useful to have, for example, to tin down stock or to plane down very large surfaces if you're not so good with using a hand plane, for example. Alright, you guys have asked me what my favorite tool in the workshop is, and it must be both my router table and my handheld router. I won't be able to make guitars without them, or I would be able to, but I won't make guitars without a good router and a good router table. They're so versatile tools to have, so precise and so nice to work with. So yeah, my favorite tools here in the workshop must be my routers. One other tool I get a lot of questions about is this tool, and you can see me use it in, I think, virtually every video here on the channel, and it's my Incra protractor in metric. Yeah, I get asked a lot, where can I get this tool, or what is it and where can you buy it? Well, like I said, it's the Incra protractor and it's available in both metric and imperial. You can find it by checking out one of the links in the video description down below. There are some affiliated links to both this protractor and some other tools I recommend and use here in the workshop myself. So if you're interested in some of the tools or getting yourself an Incra protractor, check out these links. And yeah, you'll also be supporting this channel to some extent by making a purchase using those links. So I would very much appreciate it. And while you're down there, I would highly appreciate it if you checked out the new Unquendor Guitars merchandise bar, also below the video. Here you can find some nice Unquendor Guitars t-shirts, some hoodies, some sweaters, or maybe even a coffee mug. And yeah, by getting yourself a nice t-shirt, you'll be also supporting me and my channel. So I would highly appreciate it if you checked it out and if you got yourself a nice t-shirt. To give you a little history on Unquendor Guitars, I had to go inside to my showroom because it's very nice weather outside and all my neighbors are gathering in their gardens, talking amongst themselves, and yeah, it got too noisy in the workshop to record any videos. So luckily I have this room also inside the house where I can keep making this video. So yeah, the brief history on Unquendor Guitars. Some of you might already know that Unquendor Guitars for me started at a very young age, essentially. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I got a book from the local library describing how to make very simple musical instruments as a kid and for kids. And in that book there was also a chapter on how to make a very basic electric guitar with just a single sled of wood as a neck, single string, cardboard body and a single magnet with some copper wire twisted around it as a very basic pickup. And you have to keep in mind this was pre-internet, there wasn't any YouTube or anything like that. I think we as a family didn't even own a computer at that time. So as a kid I went around town, tried to source materials, tried to find a magnet and copper wire and everything that was described in this little book. But of course as a kid it didn't work. I couldn't do it. I didn't have any help. I live in a very small town here in the Netherlands, and yeah, I couldn't do it, so to say. But what I kept doing was making guitar designs and drawing guitars until I was about 16 years old, when I finally could afford my first electric guitar and started playing in bands and taking lessons. And at that age I also started my first day job. I started working at a fairly young age. I was 16, about to turn 17 when I had my first full-time day job, and with that day job as a plumber I forgot about building guitars. And guitar building was also not something that was considered for me a career choice or an option, and I didn't even realize that it was something you could actually do for a living. So I became a plumber and later an electrical engineer like I am today. So I totally forgot about building guitars. Up until one day, and I had just recently bought the house we're currently living in, and I had also made my workshop in the back of the garden as a general workshop or a general do-it-yourself space, some space I could tinker a bit with wood and metal and such, just a place for my own, not intending it to be a guitar building workshop. But one day I was playing my electric guitar, my first electric guitar, and it detuned, and yeah, after retuning the guitar it immediately detuned again, and I looked down and the neck was separating from the body, and I thought, well, this guitar is destroyed. But luckily I now have a workshop, so let's try and fix this guitar. And with the help of YouTube I was able to fix the guitar and do a complete overhaul on the guitar, and it played better than ever. And when I was rebuilding that guitar, the dream I had as a kid resparked, and I thought, yeah, now I have a little bit of money, I have a workshop, I have some tools, and there's the internet, so let's try and finally build myself a guitar. And I did. This is the first guitar I built from scratch, just with the help of watching YouTube videos. And right after finishing this guitar, I built my second guitar, and from that moment I was hooked. I booked a course, and I did a course at Crimson Guitars, built my third guitar over at Crimson Guitars. Right when I came back I built my fourth, my fifth, and yeah, I really realized this is what I want to do with my life. I really want to share the experience of making custom guitars and having a guitar made especially for you with as many people as I can. Yeah. And after building a couple of more guitars, in 2020 I registered Unquendor Guitars, started this YouTube channel, launched the website, and yeah, here we are today. Before we go, I'm very happy to make the following announcement. Unquendor Guitars will be present at the upcoming Vintage Guitar Show Veenendaal here in the Netherlands. The Vintage Guitar Show Veenendaal, or Vintage Veenendaal, is Europe's biggest vintage guitar show, where you can find not only vintage guitars, vintage accessories and parts, but also a lot of new stuff, new parts, new accessories, and of course new guitars. And I will be present at the show with my own stand, so yeah, if you like to come and say hi and meet me in real life, or see my guitars and even test my guitars, play my guitars yourself, you're more than welcome to come and say hi. So don't be shy and visit me at the Vintage Guitar Show Veenendaal, the 24th of September here in the Netherlands, and I will put some details in the video description down below. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there. So yeah, and that's it for this 10,000 subscriber special. I hope you liked it. It's always a bit weird for me doing other videos than my regular building videos, but yeah, I hope you guys liked it nonetheless. Yeah, and once again I would like to thank all my subscribers for your support, and yeah, I really appreciate it a lot. If you're new to my channel and you want to join the other 10,000 subscribers, yeah, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you get notified when I upload something new. The next video, of course, will be a continuation on the Westone Pantera tribute build, and I hope to see you all there. But until then, have a nice week.